All right, Christina, so the parental rights things, how is this even an argument?
It's only an argument because the left never ceases to amaze the lengths that they're willing to go to do the absurd. So I can't entirely say where they're coming from or why they're pushing so hard, but absolutely parents need to be in control of their kids for sure.
100%. But this leads me to the other thing is, parents were put on terrorist watch lists for speaking up on behalf of their kids. And speaking of speaking up, this woman was dragged out of an Idaho town hall by private security guards who have now all been charged, okay? This is an interesting topic because New York Times versus Sullivan, the Supreme Court case, said that the engagement of civilians to the government may be at times caustic, and they have to take the beatings.
Yeah, this is a really interesting issue, and it's dangerous. It's a very dangerous issue because we're going to see more and more violent crime in cities where this type of activity is allowed, where someone comes on in and is very disruptive, and they're trying to be removed in order to keep the peace. And when those security guards are put under threat and put under pressure and charged criminally for doing their job, you're going to see a lot more people be a lot more aggressive in these meetings, and it's a really, really bad trend that we're seeing happen right now.
Right, but I've been in those meetings before where I'm not being listened to, and I've been told, we don't like what you're saying, we're asking you to leave. I have the right to and they weren't letting that woman speak. That was the big thing. Yeah.
Yes, we're having a very polarizing discussion about all of it right now, and all I can say is we're seeing the government silence people that they don't agree with, and then we're seeing them remove people, and then law enforcement is threatened. It is very caustic. And I go back to the courts because the courts need to come down and decide these fairly, because that's ultimately where a lot of these issues are going to be decided. And when the courts are politicized, like what we're seeing right now, that's when we run into a problem.
Yeah, no, I know. If my wife was trying to give a speech at a town hall meeting and private security did that, those guys would leave on stretchers. I want to get your take on this. Jaime Raskin, okay, not my favorite guy on earth, but he was on a podcast this week basically threatening foreign countries from cooperating with Donald Trump. Roll this.
To try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us. But implicit in it should be the idea that if and when we come back to power, and we will, we are not going to look kindly upon people who facilitated, to use a word of the day, who facilitated authoritarianism in our country. Because that's an assault on our Constitution and on our people.
Yeah. Look, didn't he vote to impeach Trump for even asking a question that even came close to that? Like, why can't we hit him with the Logan Act?
Exactly. I was just going to say, you remember that one time they tried to bring charges against General Flynn for not even close to anything what just happened there in that little dialogue. No, it's an absolute assault on the president's ability to run the country, and the voters did speak, and it's not the foreign countries that are assaulting our democracy. It's coming from within. It's coming from Democrats in Congress. It's coming from people who are refusing to uphold the law.
Well, but they're also holding hearings, like paralleled hearings. Now, the way things always worked in Congress for, at least my 42 years on this planet, is that the majority got to chair those committees and authorize those committees. But Democrats are now saying, we've tried to work with Republicans on this, and they're refusing to, fight for justice and all this stupid stuff. But yet they're the ones who lost. That's how it works.
Yeah, they are the ones that lost. And, if Republicans were in that position, Republicans probably wouldn't be fighting the way they're fighting, because Republicans tend to retreat. I will at least give Democrats credit for continuing to push the issue. However, they need to actually follow the law, abide by the fact that President Trump is in office, President Trump is the president, and allow this administration to actually administer the policies that they were elected to administer.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.